If you tuned in last week, we had a discussion about pathological demand avoidance. This week, we are talking about what that might look like in adults. I am thrilled today to welcome back Casey Ehrlich from At Peace Parents. It's so exciting. And with her, she brought a colleague.
Yeah.
I'm like getting really uncomfortable and hot.
There are layers of people on top of me.
There are hundreds of people on top of me.
Yeah.
And this is not okay. Hey, what's up? This is Kristen Carter, and you've tuned into the I Have ADHD podcast. I am medicated, caffeinated, regulated, and I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to party. That's what I'm ready to do. We're going to party today. I am so looking forward to this conversation. If you tuned in last week, we had a discussion about pathological demand avoidance, or PDA, in children. And this week, we are talking about what that might look like in adults. And I've got to tell you, I get asked questions about PDA in adults constantly in Focused, my ADHD coaching program. And I really think that this is something that is so important for us to learn and talk about. So I am thrilled today to welcome back Casey Ehrlich from At Peace Parents. It's so exciting. And with her, she brought a colleague. And my goodness, get ready. Let me tell you a little bit about Kendahl. Kendahl Damashek is a parent coach and the director of content and curriculum for At Peace Parents, a neurodiversity affirming organization that provides education to support others in understanding and supporting PDA children and teens around the world. Kendahl is also a PDA autistic mother, raising 4 PDA humans under the age of 10.
Yes,
Oh,
that's true.
my goodness. That's not nothing.
It's not nothing.
That is quite the thing. I'm so glad that you're here with us, Kendahl. I know you're going to add a nuance and a lens to this conversation that would otherwise just not be available to us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited. Okay, let's get started right off the bat with what might PDA look like in adults?
Yeah. So it can look a lot of different ways. And I think it's important to think about it from like the root cause of
Yeah.
PDA, right? Because even in the name, if we think about like pathological demand avoidance, we're going to think about like procrastination or not wanting to do things, which is one aspect for some people, but it's not the only part of
Mhm.
PDA. Um, but if we think about it as like a nervous system disability where threats to autonomy and threats to equality are building activation in our nervous systems,
Mhm.
then, how that presents is going to be varied. So, I mean, it can look like procrastination. It can also look like lack of access to basic needs. It can look like not being able to go to the bathroom when you're in public
Mm.
spaces. It can look like never really being able to keep up with your dental hygiene. It can look like taking big risks, which I'm sure is something that like overlaps with
For
ADHD,
sure.
right? Um, and yeah, I mean, Casey, you probably have bird's eye views on lots of patterns too with PDA adults.
So I think it might be helpful to talk about like the 5 characteristics and
Yeah.
maybe you can give us anecdotes and we
Yeah,
could
yeah.
share
That's great.
anecdotes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
So we talked last week about the survival drive for autonomy
Mhm.
that overrides other survival instincts. So I think this is something that internally, like you'd have to decide, is that what's activating my nervous
Yeah.
system because someone's putting themselves above me or because I don't have freedom and choice? Like,
Mm.
is that why my nervous system's going off?
Right.
Equalizing, which is the behavioral response to perceiving that there isn't autonomy and equality, which can be towards others,
Mhm.
being above others or controlling of others or critical of others, or towards self.
Mhm.
That's the second.
Can you just pause there and tell me what do you mean towards self?
So let's take an easy example of like a PDA child might be told to put their shoes away and they comply and then they go destroy their mom's like plant.
Mhm.
But an internalized PDAer might harm oneself, destroy one's own things, or have internal self loathing.
Yeah. So, like,
Oh,
even like a personal example. So, when I was little, I would, instead of like having a tantrum, I would like go into my room and bite my arm really hard,
yes.
right? Or like instead of taking it out on a sibling, I would take it out on myself. And even when I've gotten back into burnout states in adulthood, that happens,
Mm.
you know?
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
So that was number 2, equalizing.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
the third?
The third would be masking.
Mhm.
So the way I think of PDA masking as slightly distinct from autistic masking, which is the imitation of neurotypical norms and a somewhat learned behavior. I'm introducing a binary here.
Sure.
Um, but for PDA, it's like whatever the brain perceives as the most safe response based on the environment, that's what the nervous system pathway is going to be. So instead of a fight flight, like at
Mhm.
home or with a safe person like a partner,
Yeah.
it might be I'm going to go into freeze, fawn, or shut down.
Yes.
So you don't see the threat response.
Mhm. Yeah, and you might see that a lot in like, okay, well, I can't be PDA as an adult because I'm able to go to work, right?
Mhm.
But then maybe you get home and you're yelling at your kids or you're controlling of how your spouse is cleaning the kitchen
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
and so it comes out in these equalizing behaviors at home because home is your safe space, but out in the world, you are masking. And it's really like an autonomic thing. Like when we think about autistic masking, it's like, I've heard people talk about it as like manual. Like
Sure.
like everything is manual. Like you're thinking about how does someone do this thing, and therefore I will do it that way because that's the way it's done. Whereas this is really like the nervous system taking over and being like, you're going to
Yes.
behave in this
Mhm.
way that's gonna keep you safe.
Unconscious, automatic.
Mhm.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
The fourth would be, and I know you have some anecdotes for this,
Yeah.
that undivided need for undivided attention. So that is actually like you're trying to get signals of safety from another nervous system because your baseline is one of threat.
Yeah.
I'm like getting really uncomfortable and hot.
Well, it also overlaps with body doubling and ADHD. So I'd
Right.
love for Kendall to.
Yeah, so, like, okay, here's a recent anecdote. So, earlier this year, Casey and I, were presenting in Ireland, and Casey was presenting virtually, and I was presenting in person.
Wow.
And I was super excited to go. It's something I wanted to do, and I could immediately feel, like, just, like, vibration in my body and, like, tenseness, but it wasn't about the opportunity, it was like I was gonna be going alone,
Mhm.
right? And I wanted to be able to explore Dublin, like, it's such a cool place, it was
Yeah.
such an amazing opportunity to be able to go. It was literally the first time I think I'd been away from my kids since my first was born, you know? It was like a big
It was
deal.
time.
It was time. But I was like, I wanna be able to take advantage of it, right?
Yes.
And I just could see myself going and doing the presentation, but, like, having all of my nervous system energy towards that presentation and then only being able to stay in the hotel.
Mhm.
And so I invited my dad to come.
Oh.
And, like, I had just turned 40 and I needed my dad to come to my work trip with me, which, like, doesn't feel very professional or mature, but I am a professional. I am a competent adult, but, like, because I had this lens of I need someone to signal safety to me. And it was very particular who I chose. Like I
Of
needed
course.
somebody who wasn't going to um have expectations around me or my time or my
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
And my dad is great at that. And so, we went and it was great and it allowed me to explore the city.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that I bring an emotional support person on every work trip,
I can understand it.
including like where I'm going to Kansas City in November
Yeah.
and my coach is coming with me because that's normal, right?
Yeah. Well, it's normal for me.
Normal for this
Normal
table.
for this table. Yeah. For sure.
Okay. That was number 4, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we now?
And I would love if we can to circle back to the basic needs thing because I think
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
is a big one.
Yeah.
But the fifth would be the fluctuating and cumulative nature of the nervous system activation. So this is why we see like fairly on the surface like typical functioning
Mm.
and then sudden burnout where there's
Mhm.
like incapacitation and impact on basic needs in a way that's more like, do I need to see a doctor or therapist?
Yeah.
And then, you know, having to monitor that threshold like a diabetic would insulin levels of like, am I getting close to where I'm tipping past
Yeah.
my threshold?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so just like on that note, when I was in my mid-20s, my husband and I were living, he was in grad school. We were living in Northern California. And we were newly married and had decided we wanted to try and have kids. And I'm also narcoleptic. So I know I got it all going on. So, but I had been on medication on stimulants to keep me awake during a workday.
Sure.
But you can't be on stimulants when you're trying to get pregnant. At least not the medication that I was on. It wasn't just stimulants too. There's other
Sure.
intensive narcolepsy medications. So I had to get off of everything. And by this point, I had been in the workforce post college for about 3 years. So I had 3 years of accumulated
Mm.
nervous system stress, and things had been getting progressively harder and harder and harder. So when that coincided with me getting off of medication, it meant that I actually couldn't work because I didn't have like the alertness and the awakeness during the day to like work at a job because I would just have fallen asleep at my desk. So my husband was in graduate school and I was essentially like just by default a housewife, right? And like my husband and I, we do not ascribe to traditional gender role views of things. Like there's no problem either way. It's just
Right.
like that's not been part of our narrative. But like, it makes sense if he's at school
Sure.
all day, and in the lab and running experiments and writing and researching, and I'm at home with 0 other responsibilities. Like I should be able to clean the kitchen up for breakfast. Should, right? And I spent a year on the couch.
Yes.
I literally could do nothing. I
Yes.
watched like multiple times. I watched How I Met Your Mother from episode 1 to the last. I watched The Office from episode 1 to the last.
At least you're making good choices.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
those are good choices.
They are great shows. And I remember like thinking to myself like, okay, well, after this I will get off the couch and I will go
Sure.
clean the kitchen. And we were living in a really small apartment, like it was like a junior 1 bedroom,
Mhm.
and like all the mess and the chaos was around me.
Yeah.
But I literally couldn't move.
Yes.
I couldn't walk out the door.
Mhm.
I couldn't make any healthy moves like go for a walk.
Yep.
I couldn't go to the grocery store by myself. I literally couldn't do anything but
Yeah.
sit on that couch.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a framework for it then,
Mm.
right? So like I felt very ashamed
Yes.
because I had all the time to
Mhm.
do all the things that we needed to do, and I couldn't do any of them.
Honey.
And it was so rough, right? And here I am like someone who is intelligent,
Yep.
capable, you know, my executive functioning is actually great. Like I can map everything out. It's the doing
Yes.
that is the issue,
Yes.
right? I know how it should be done and how it can get done. So it's like I could see all of this and then I just couldn't.
Mhm.
So, you know, luckily, like that year gave me time to actually rest and use things for regulation and bring down that nervous system activation. I wasn't working, I had the privilege of being supported, by a family member who had some understanding of what was
That's
going on.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Um and I mean that gave me time for my nervous system to reset so I
Yeah.
could actually be like a functional human again.
Wow. Okay. That's really, really helpful. That's really, really helpful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm gonna try to not do this every time,
Do it, girl. Do it.
but it's just like everything you say, I'm like, same.
Mm,
Like I've been through that
yeah.
season, like
Yeah.
burned out after wedding planning and graduating from college,
Yeah.
and not just wedding planning, but like wedding planning in a toxic family system that was also like had no money. So like,
And
and trying
probably lots of expectations.
Ooh, just
Yeah.
like very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And then I spent a year on the couch.
Yeah.
But for me, it was because this was probably 10 or 15 years before yours. It was Live with Regis and Kelly, and then the Tony Danza show, which was only just that one
Oh.
year, but
Yeah.
I get to watch every single day. And
Love
then
it.
The View. And then
Yeah.
by the time the news came on at 12, I was like, I think I can get in the shower now. And then I would take a shower and then go back to the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a very familiar experience to me.
I just attribute that to like ADHD and just like overwhelm and some trauma stuff. And like to hear you talk about it in the context of PDA, I'm like,
yeah.
wow.
Well, and I feel like, a lot of things can contribute to the same symptoms, right? Like there's a lot of overlap in all of these categories as to like what things look like. And
Sure.
so, one of the things that personally I like to think through is like what lens is helpful for me, right?
Mm,
So it's like if thinking, and sometimes that's multiple, right?
sure.
Like it might be that thinking through a trauma lens is really helpful and helps you like work through some of the
Yeah.
stuff that is keeping you on that couch, right? And it also can be helpful to look through a PDA lens
Mm-hmm.
and think like, is it also this accumulation of threats to autonomy and equality
Mm.
that are keeping me on the couch? And if that's true, how can I accommodate myself through that lens? And does that help me?
Everyone with ADHD knows what to do to improve their lives. You go to bed at a reasonable time and you wake up early, make a list, cross the things off the list in order, manage your time well. Yeah, we know what to do, but ADHD is not a disorder of not knowing what to do. It's a disorder of knowing exactly what to do, but not being able to get yourself to do it. That's why ADHD is so frustrating. We're smart and we want to succeed, but we can't get ourselves to do the things that we know we should do in order to make improvements. That's why I created Focused. I'm a life coach with multiple certifications, and since 2019, I've spent thousands of hours coaching adults with ADHD. Time for me to focus on you. Hello. Welcome to your coaching call. I am going to be coaching you today on relationships. I know what it takes to help an adult with ADHD go from hot mess express to grounded and thriving. Focused is my monthly coaching membership where we go deep and we get to the root cause of what holds us back with ADHD. I'll teach you how to understand your ADHD brain, regulate your emotions, and accept yourself, flaws and all. With this foundation, we build the skills to improve life with ADHD. And not only do you get skills and tools in Focused, but you're surrounded by a huge community of adults with ADHD who are also doing the work of self-development right alongside of you. Dr. Ned Hallowell says healing happens in community, and I have absolutely found this to be true. As a matter of fact, listen to what actual Focus members have to say about being in this program.
What can I say about Focused?
Full community of people who have issues similar to you, and no one judge you.
Focused has really supported me with my difficulties and asking for help. I've been encouraged and cheered on by the community.
I really like that you can do as much or as little as you want. It's not just about the volume of the content, it's about the quality.
Focus has helped me understand ADHD better.
I would recommend this to anyone.
I would thoroughly recommend Focused. I can confidently say that this is one of the best decisions that I have made for myself.
So if you're an adult with ADHD who wants to figure out how to be motivated from the inside out and make real, lasting changes in your life, join hundreds of others from around the world in Focused. Click the link in the episode description to check it out. What you just opened my mind to something that I think is so important, especially as we consider neurodivergence and all of the different people listening. It's okay, if you're on that metaphorical couch or literal couch.
Yeah.
What's available to you? What lens is available to you?
Right.
Can we look through the autism lens? Can we look through the ADHD lens? Can we look through the PDA? Experimenting within the different lenses and just figuring out what's going to be most supportive and helpful. It doesn't
Yes.
actually matter
Yeah.
what
No.
lens it is.
Right.
Which one is more helpful and supportive and helps you to be who you want to be?
Yes. And one of the things too that I think is particular to PDA is that sometimes the PDA, well, often I find the PDA lens has to come first if PDA is at play.
Okay.
Because I would sit on that couch and I would know what I needed to do and I would set a timer. I would use ADHD strategies, right?
Yes.
I would set a timer for myself.
So good.
Okay, when the timer goes off, that's when I'm going to get up. And you know what? I'll set a second timer, or I'm going to write out a list and I'm going to have that, I'm just going to go through the checklist, or you know what? I'm going to figure out what's the easiest way for me to accomplish these tasks, or I'm going to plan out the function, how am I going to do this the night before or the week before, or can I set up systems, or can I go on Etsy and download somebody's, monthly housekeeping planner.
Oh my gosh, have we done all of these things? Maybe this will be the trick.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so it's it wasn't that lens wasn't accessible to me or that I wasn't using it from a pragmatic perspective.
Sure.
But I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Can I
Please.
chime in?
Yeah.
So I believe that I've been in autistic burnout before. And I think what helped me was very different than what I see helps PDA burnout. And this is also where I think you can get tripped up. So for me, it was I need to sleep a lot, but then I need to go to yoga. I need fresh air. I need movement. I need to cook healthy. It didn't have as much to do with not being able to access things and more I'm going to do all these healthy things instead of just working all the time with sensory overwhelm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And so when we think about autistic burnout, especially for our kids, sometimes it's counterintuitive through a PDA lens because it's well, fresh air should help and healthy food should help and getting off screens and movement.
Right.
And our kids
all of
actually
that
can't
stuff
do it.
sets the kids' nervous system
Yeah.
off.
Yes.
Every healthy thing that you say, they're just activated by.
I feel it in my body
You
right
can
now.
feel it
Yeah.
right
I'm
now.
oh, yeah.
Face is getting flushed.
No, right? It's literally a physiological reaction.
Oh, sweetheart. Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes so
And
much sense.
I would put in a nice podcast and clean.
Yeah.
It would be because what I think I would get a lot of my activation around is achievement, working,
Yes.
productivity, staying with the linear plan, not deviating, sensory overwhelm. And so I could still be very active. I wasn't on a couch in
Right.
burnout. I
Right.
slept a lot,
Yeah.
but it was more nourishing my body and it was much more active than what I see my kids' burnouts have been. I don't know if
Yeah.
you agree
That's
with
Yeah, I
such a
totally
helpful
do.
contrast.
Yeah.
Just as someone just observing the two, that's a very helpful contrast.
Yeah. And I really think it does break down along those lines. I could do all the research from the couch about the things that would quote unquote help me, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't access any of them, right?
Hmm.
And that's also always been a thing that's been difficult for me with like traditional therapies, even though I think therapy is a wonderful thing. I've had really excellent therapists in my life. But like when there's like a practical suggestion of how to like achieve betterment one way or another, right? Immediately my brain goes, "Well, I will never." You know, like and like I don't want to feel that way.
Yes.
I'll go order the book,
Yes.
I'll order, like I'll,
Yes.
get the membership, but whatever it is, like do
Right.
the first step sometimes, but then it just collects dust.
Yes. Would you I know we still have one more aspect of it that you want to speak to, right? Because there were 6.
So sometimes we separate out the survival drive for autonomy and what it looks like in basic needs.
Oh, okay. So, but just before we get there, how what was supportive for you?
Um,
In that like
yeah,
couch time?
yeah. So
Couch time.
in couch time, um, you know, having no expectations. I wasn't working.
Okay.
I was financially supported.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a very, very accommodating husband. I'm very grateful for him,
Mm,
where he didn't get upset when he came home and nothing was done. He would just like open the windows for me and like
yeah.
because I literally couldn't get off the couch to open the windows and we had no air conditioning in
Oh,
Northern California, and
lovely.
it would get like 80,
Stuffy,
90 degrees in
hot.
the house and I
Yeah.
was stuck on the couch. I couldn't get up and lift up the windows.
Your body wouldn't let
Yeah,
you.
my body wouldn't let
The
me.
body wouldn't let you.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's a really important distinction because it's not yes, I was physically capable. Like I wasn't, I
You
wasn't
knew how to
paralyzed. I knew
walk.
how to walk,
Right.
you
You
know.
had muscle
You know
strength
how
to
to
open the
open the window.
window.
Yes. And my body would not let me go and do it. And I would literally sit on the couch for like hours just being like it's too hot in here. Like I need to open a window.
God, the compassion.
Yeah.
Oh, sweetie.
And like yeah, so I think framing it as my body wouldn't let me is it's really important.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, so it's
So
like
lowering expectations,
lowering demands.
yes, lowering demands. And then I, while we were trying to get pregnant and while I'm basically in this burnout, like I just knew that I needed something alive in the apartment with me, right? I
Mm.
needed another, like looking back on it now, I would frame it as like another nervous system to co-regulate me, right? But like back then it was just like I need a dog, like like I just not like I want a dog. No, I have to have a dog. I wrote we had the sweetest landlord. I wrote her a letter that was like, let me list you the reasons why I need a
Oh,
dog because she didn't allow dogs in the apartment, but she was super sweet. She finally allowed us. And I remember it was like my husband and I went and we visited family. And while we were visiting, like all I was doing was like looking through the adoption pages of like different dogs and
oh.
like, we could do this one, we could do this one, we could do this one. The day we got back after we had gotten her yes, literally got off the plane in San Francisco, drove to Palo Alto, did not drive home, drove to the SPCA,
Yep. Yep.
found a dog and brought her home.
Yep. It was like, this is happening
It is happening.
today.
It was a survival need for
Oh,
me. He was
honey.
out of the home all day,
Yes.
right? And I couldn't move, but I
Yep.
needed something that signaled safety.
Yep.
And so we got Josie, our little Maltipoo, and she was amazing. And
Yes.
immediately that started to help me. And then I could take her for a walk, right? Because I had a nervous system with me
That's
to
cool.
literally
That's
walk
really
from the
cool.
couch to the door, down the stairs to the sidewalk.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Okay, so let's circle back to needs.
hmm
Do you want to talk about that? Who wants to take
Do
that?
you want to like set it up and then I can give an
Yeah, I
example?
love that. I love that for us.
Okay, so I think I'm not speaking from like a PDA adult being me, but
Sure.
we do work with a lot of PDA adults. So
Mhm.
we do see a lot of like moms, for example, who like had eating disorders, right? And the traditional approaches didn't really help. And when we introduced this idea of like cumulative nervous system stress control coalesces around eating, it has nothing to do with body image. And it's like all these like light bulbs are going off of like, oh, this is an outcome of nervous system stress. And this is why it appeared at this point in my life,
Mm-hmm.
even though I didn't have body image issues. Or other things like non-24-hour sleep cycle,
Mm-hmm.
like insomnia, or periods when they were in high school where like they would stay up all night,
Mhm.
equalizing, like
Yeah.
controlling, exerting control, and then they would like have trouble accessing high school the next
Like
day.
the staying up all night was the equalizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety, we see a lot of like suicidal or unaliving ideation, self-harm patterns that they might have had. For um for toileting, we've worked with parents who have adult children, and so like one pattern was a very intelligent, very capable woman who had gone through college and everything would void in the shower.
Mm.
And the mom like didn't understand it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can she do this when the toilet's right there? Or we might see encopresis or UTIs.
Mm-hmm.
And with hygiene.
Mm.
So often the parent, because we work with parents,
Yeah.
but often they have viewed some of their medical issues as separate from like constantly perceiving threat
Sure.
And
and going
building.
through these burnouts
Sure.
or behaving in ways where they're like, I didn't even make that conscious choice
Yeah.
to say or do that. It just happened.
Yeah.
And it's like they start to connect the dots.
Mm.
So I think, not just thinking about behavior, but also
Yeah.
how it's impacting their basic needs or like leaving the house. I know you've
Yeah.
talked about also education, like your
Yeah.
educational journey wasn't linear.
No, it was not linear. Yeah. I mean, I've had, so like, with both basic needs and like my educational journey. So like basic needs, like so for me, the basic need that got most affected was toileting.
Mm.
So I stopped being able to, urinate in anywhere where there was anybody else. And like I would fly across the country and literally be holding it for 14
Oh,
hours.
wow.
Super painful. And this is the thing too, it's like, it's not that you don't want to. It's not a motivated choice, right? Like I would go into the bathroom. I would sit down. I would sit there and try and end up sobbing because I was in pain and
Literally, your body wouldn't let you.
my
Yeah.
body wouldn't let me.
Yes.
I actually had a therapist explain it to me because eventually I went to therapy for it before I ever had a PDA lens, but she would say like your body's not letting you. Like your body is not relaxing enough to release. Like your body has to be released. You can't push it, right?
Yes.
So, your body has to be relaxed. You
Sure,
can't
sure,
push it.
sure,
So,
sure.
yeah, so like it's definitely affected my basic needs. And that was like a decade, yeah, at least a decade of my life that it was like that for. And I've also had sleep affected. I'm narcoleptic and I would still push through and stay awake, till 3 o'clock in the morning and then get up for school the next day. And yeah,
Wow.
I remember like I was on this really heavy duty medication for narcolepsy when I was in college. And it was supposed to like take you through all of the sleep cycles. But it would like make you fall asleep. But that was a threat to my autonomy. And so I
How
would just
dare you make me fall
I
asleep?
know.
Medication that I am putting in my body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to get
Yes,
better
I
rest. I
know.
wanted to
Yes.
be more awake. And then I would take the medication and I would literally do everything that I could to stay awake. And not like planning it, but just like, oh, I think I need to, why don't I, I would get up
Unconscious and automatic.
unconscious, automatic.
Yes.
I remember like waking up in weird places in my apartment,
Yes.
like because I would literally go to the point where my body would make me fall asleep. There was no letting myself fall asleep,
Mhm.
and then that's just how it happened. And yeah, and with school too, like I was it took me 8 years to get
Mm.
uh my bachelor's degree.
Mhm.
I didn't apply to college when I was a senior in high school,
Mhm.
Um
And Kendall's a genius. So, no,
I
I
I'm
mean,
serious.
that's clear.
Like, I work with Kendall and she's brilliant. So it's
Mm.
not a matter of,
Intelligence.
yeah,
Yep.
or capacity.
Yep.
well, and it was very confusing for everybody around me because I'd been identified as gifted from a very young age, and I
Right.
was supposed
You're
to be
so
able
smart.
so smart, should
You're the one
achieve
that's
great
gonna do
things.
it. Yes,
Exactly.
you're the hope. Come
Exactly.
on.
Right. And then it was like my mom, my parents were actually really great about accommodating me, which is also why I don't think I reached burnouts until later in
Beautiful.
life.
Uh-huh.
Um, but like everybody else around me was applying to colleges, and my mom was like, if you want to apply to a college, you'll do it.
Yes.
That was it. That was the entire college prep talk from my mother, right? So I didn't apply to college. And then I was like, actually, I think college would be more fun than like, no offense to Trader Joe's, but working at Trader Joe's, and like arranging flowers
Yeah.
and um so then I did apply. Um but again, it was like I didn't have a safe nervous system there. It was far away from home. The deadlines in college were horrible for me, right? And so I came home, um, went to beauty school, am officially a beauty school dropout, you went through all of these
I love
paths.
that for you.
Yeah. I
Great.
had like only 200 hours left, but it was just like,
Only.
well, you have to do like 1200. So I had done
Okay.
like a
Okay.
significant
Okay.
percentage, but then, it was too much. My most successful time in academics was when I was at a community college
Cool.
because it was small. And like I would literally go to my professor's offices to do my homework.
So smart.
And um, I had a lot of accommodation in that type of environment, being bright and therefore being quote unquote like above, right? Not that I saw myself, it wasn't like a better than, it's
Sure.
just my position. Like when I was taking organic chemistry,
Mhm.
I was tutoring it at the same time. And so therefore I was the authority
Yes. It's so good.
between me and my peers
Yeah.
around organic chemistry.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know like how my professors like intuited that, but it was really helpful for me
Cool.
and allowed me to get through
Mhm.
that and then transfer. And then I had lots of other, so it was lots of like, when I went then to like a more prestigious liberal arts college, then all of a sudden I didn't have that built-in accommodation, and everyone was not only really intelligent but super high achieving, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's on fellowships and scholarships and
And they wanna one up you.
oh yes.
Like,
Yeah.
that's the part of the culture, if I understand it
Yeah.
correctly, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah,
Totally. And I'm not a competitive person actually.
right.
I'm very very not competitive.
Yeah.
But it's not regulating to my nervous system to not be
Yep.
like at least equal to,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And when I transferred, I immediately went into another burnout. I took 2 medical leaves
Oof.
at school. It took me 4 years to get through those last 2 years,
Yes.
so just yeah. And I got to the point there too where I was in another burnout where I even was losing access to like my vocal muscles and
Mm.
like I'm a singer. I was a music major. Um, like I was really interested in psychology and neuroscience, and I took a lot of classes in that. But I was a music major and um, did like vocal performance and composition. and I stopped being able to sing at all.
My gosh.
Yeah. So like it's, I think this ties into basic needs because it's really like your physiology changes when you are under that much nervous system activation all the time.
Gosh. Would you mind sharing your story of how you came to understand PDA for
Sure.
yourself?
Yeah. Um, so, I have 4 children who I now know are PDA. But initially I just knew that life was really hard for us.
Yes.
Um, like beyond what having 4 kids close in age should be. And I read everything. So I had like stacks of parenting books and I was doing everything by the book and and things were getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yes.
And I have one child who he's like our canary in the coal mine, right? Like he's our most externalized presentation of PDA and he was physically aggressive, right? It was something that like had to be addressed. I had to figure out
Yep.
what was going on.
Yep.
And I had been asking ever since he was born, like, is he autistic? Is he like, what's going on? I cannot soothe this kid. I remember like, you know, just like having this total meltdown in the kitchen one time, just being like, will I ever be able to do the dishes again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or am I just gonna hold this child for the rest of
Yeah.
my life?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I threw a sippy cup at the wall once over that exact.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
It was
could
like,
have.
yeah. I'm glad you didn't.
If you weren't
Yeah.
holding your child.
If I wasn't holding my child. I remember I created like a whole system where I was like, if he's right, I took a laundry basket. He was like 4 months old. I mean, he just wouldn't even nap without
Yeah.
my body there, right?
Yeah.
He was 4 months old. I put no, I think 4 months old. I put a laundry basket next to me. I filled it with the coziest blankets and towels, made this whole wonderful nest, and I literally like stuck my foot in it so he could be next to
Oh my
me.
gosh. Yes.
And he still wouldn't stop crying unless I
Yeah.
was holding him. And I remember like
Yeah.
just like what
Yes.
do I need to do? So, we'd been having issues for a long time, but didn't know what was going on. And because he is social and makes eye
Mhm.
contact,
Mhm. Mhm.
I was always told, nah,
Yeah.
like that, you know what? Like
Take a parenting class.
exactly,
Yeah.
take a parenting class. You're an overreactive mother. By the way, I'd read everything that they were
honey.
suggesting.
Yeah.
I was doing everything they had suggested
Yeah.
already before they told me to do it.
Consistently.
Consistently. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Good.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was, so I started looking for atypical presentations of autism on social media. That's kind of
Oh,
what my
interesting.
first thing was because I was like, well, this kid is neurodivergent. And I
Mhm.
didn't know that term then. All I knew was like, maybe he's autistic.
Right.
I was like, something is not typical.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. I need to stop the violence and the chaos in my house. Like my older 2 are boys, and I always thought like, oh, they'll share a room. But I couldn't have them share a room because they would take like the little, like I had a little potty in their room because like, he was
As you do.
right, as you do. So that in the middle of the night, like
Yeah.
we didn't have accidents. And like as they were supposedly getting sleepy, they would literally take the inner thing and toss it across the room,
No.
urine all over the place,
No.
right? And I was like, is this boys will be boys? Like, is that what this is?
Yeah.
It's
Right.
not.
Right. It's not. But yeah.
But I didn't know. So anyway, eventually I was like, okay, I'll look up these atypical autism presentations and symptoms. And then that fit better. And then just searching that on the internet led me to PDA. And it was actually with Casey was the first time that I had heard
Wow.
PD. It wasn't the first time I'd heard PDA spoken about, but it was the first time that I'd heard about it through a nervous system lens. And it was the first time that somebody had laid out these 5 characteristics that we're
Mhm.
talking about.
Mhm.
And that framed it for me. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, oh, not only him, but also my older son, and not only him, but me.
What
Yeah.
was that like for you?
It was relieving, like, you know, I was supposed to be this really high achieving person. And I remember my dad always recounts this story where I turned to him and I said, I think I'm just going to disappoint everyone.
Mm.
I'm just going to be a mom. I know I'm supposed to do other things too, but I think this is what I can do. And I'm just going to have to disappoint everyone.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I had a framework that was, and by the way, like, not to say that being a mom is a disappointing choice, right? Like,
Right.
I value it. I value having been a stay at home mom. Um, it gave me purpose and was something that, like, you know, the needs that my children had felt important to me. And therefore, I had autonomy in choosing to meet them rather than like a deadline that didn't feel
Sure.
important to me. Um, but like, having this framework, all of a sudden, like, I didn't have to feel like a disappointment to other people. Like, I had validation and I had acceptance,
Yes.
you know?
So good. Oh, thank you for sharing like the personal stuff. I
Yeah,
really do appreciate
of
that. I
course.
really do. I would love to um Casey get your feedback here, and then if I could like if you would share some anecdotal evidence of this, Kendall.
Yeah.
One of the things that comes up for my clients a lot and myself is this feeling of I don't want to create a schedule or I don't want to make a plan because I don't want to be told what to do, even by me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't even want to listen to me,
Mhm.
even when it's something that I am deciding on
Mhm.
my own that I know is values based, that is important to me, that I want to do. I literally taught a time management class yesterday and focused, and we're chugging along, great interactive class. And then we get to the point of like actually putting things on the calendar, and there was so much resistance. And it was like, I don't want to see this demand, essentially.
Mhm.
Mhm.
These words weren't spoken, but it was
Yeah.
essentially, I don't want to see this demand on my calendar, even if I'm the one putting it there.
Mhm.
And that to me is like, this is extra. Like
Yeah.
there's ADHD, which is like, like you're distracted and you are maybe inconsistent and you're impulsive and you have executive function. But like this piece is different where you're
Mhm.
like, I don't even want to see that effing thing on my schedule because I perceive it as a demand. And
Yeah.
even if it's a demand from me, I don't want to see it.
Mhm.
What the heck is that?
Well, I think it's the internal demands or the internal loss of autonomy. So it's like you have two parts of your brain. You have the rational part, which is like, I want to have structure and I want to make plans and I am running a business and coaching families and all of that. And then if you have a PDA tendency, you have the subconscious part that's like, I didn't consent to that. And now I'm going to react to it.
But I, isn't the consent found in like you deciding that you want it?
At that moment.
Yeah, in the moment. This is why we can
Okay,
make
Kendall, that's so important.
yeah, excellent point. So with
Yeah.
kids, for example, like this is sometimes why things like collaborative problem solving doesn't work, especially when they're in burnout, because like they can agree on something and talk about it and understand it and want to be on board with you when they are regulated. But in the moment they're presented with what their subconscious brain perceives as threatening, they're no longer in that rational part of their brain.
Yes.
So it's like they're just going into the reptilian part and it's like, no.
Yep.
So I think that happens more frequently and more quickly when there is a buildup in the system. So like,
Mhm.
rather than thinking about what's the solution in
For
the
that one
for
thing.
that
Yeah.
one thing, it's like, okay, I have my life, right? And what are all the ways that I can lower demands, give myself autonomy, make me feel above? Like Kendall, I'm just gonna you tell
Yeah.
it.
No, go for it.
So Kendall sent me a picture last night of her hotel. And she's like, I got the room that's the highest, like one of the highest rooms,
Yeah.
so that I have a sense of being above to get me back to a place of safety.
Girl.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But I wouldn't have done that.
Accommodating.
Yeah, it's accommodating, right? I was like, yeah, it's going to cost me an extra $50, but like I have to do it because I can't think of myself below, like, it's not a small hotel, right? Like, there are layers of people on top of me.
There are hundreds of people on top of me.
Yeah.
And this is not okay.
This is not okay. It felt like suffocating. Like I'm gonna die if a bunch of people are on top of me. But if I'm on top, I can breathe.
Wow.
And that's like a very adaptive thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're trying to diminish others.
No.
It's just like
yes.
you might think, oh, this $50 isn't worth it or this is silly. So it's really looking through the lens of your life of like, I'm going to ask my husband or my partner to deliver me a glass of water that's right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to allow myself to, do the what we call the 4 S's, which is like safe nervous system, screens, parentheses, podcasts and books if you're analog.
Mm-hmm.
Sensory intense experiences, novelty and dopamine, which has some overlap with ADHD, and special interests.
Like all of that, I'm just like,
Yeah.
give me it.
So how can we incorporate all of that and the accommodations into the way that we structure our lives so that when we get to the moment when we're trying to put fucking things on the calendar, which is
Yes.
our kryptonite.
Literally. We
Yeah.
literally will text each other kryptonite because calendaring is very hard.
Like I can't see it.
Yeah.
My husband has started to have to do it for me. And I'm like, is this being autistic? Is this postmenopause? Like what is happening?
Wow.
And so I'm accommodating myself
Mhm.
of like, well, you need to body double me to go through this. And I need to write it on the calendar analog and you need to put it in the Google Calendar because I cannot see it.
Yep.
Mhm.
So anyways, like it's easier for us to confront those losses of autonomy with a window if we're looking through the PDA lens and accommodating ourselves in the rest of our lives with self-compassion.
This is exactly what you said in the last episode with how we treat our PDA kids,
Yeah.
which is like accommodating them so that we can build that window so that they then have access to their thinking brain and can live out what they want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying here is like accommodate, lower demands, build that window of tolerance.
To yourself. For
Mhm.
But it's
yourself.
all for self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think is harder for us
I know.
as humans.
I
Yeah.
know. Because it's like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not supposed to be on the couch watching shows for 10 hours. But like,
No.
what if that's what you need?
Right.
Like, what's wrong with it objectively?
Right. Morally.
I do it with
Nothing.
reading and
Mhm.
journaling.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, instead of being on an iPad all the time, I literally spent every minute that I wasn't engaged journaling. And I have to look at what my boys do with screens as the same thing of like, this is their regulation block.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what has that maybe looked like for you? First, can you just speak to like, do you feel that in yourself, that resistance even to the quote unquote demand that you want?
Oh, yeah.
The thing that you want.
Oh, yeah. I brought 3 books with me on this trip. Okay. Guess how much I read? 0. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like bought these books for myself, right? Like I went to the bookstore and I was like, this looks really interesting, or this is from one of my favorite authors, or this is a book Casey recommended that I really want to read. And I had all the intention of reading them, right? And I couldn't. I
Mm.
couldn't, right? And so before this awareness and this acceptance of myself, I would get really frustrated with myself, right? Like, how come my bedside reading list grows and grows and grows. Like the pile has now become 2 piles, has now become, let's put those on the bookshelves and start a new pile. And, and I would go through phases where sometimes, and I didn't know why, sometimes I would be able to read 4 books in a month, and sometimes I wouldn't read for 3 years.
Yes.
And now I understand, well, those times when I was reading 4 books in a month, I was regulated, right?
Mm.
And that was like the only task I had, you know?
Yes.
And then the times when I couldn't were times when I didn't have the regulation to do that. But absolutely, I feel that all the time. And it really is like the 2 different areas of the brain being disparate, right? So like I buy the book here
Yes.
and then I want to read it. And the wanting to read it is very meta, right? So like
Yeah.
the wanting to read it is the loss of autonomy because now I want to read it. No,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Mm-hmm.
no. But I want to read it. No. And it's like then the book I slept with the books
The
next to me in the bed. Yeah.
the 2 parts of the brain warring against each other.
Yes. Yeah. And it feels frustrating, right? Until we come to a place of acceptance. I mean, and then it still can feel frustrating, but at least there's also self-compassion,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? And then we can start, once we come from a place of compassion, like then I can start to accommodate myself, right? Then I can look at those 3 books on the nightstand and be like, that's a sign of dysregulation, right? And I can think through like, I traveled today.
Yes.
I didn't have a safe nervous system for X many hours today while I was traveling alone, right? I'm in a hotel room alone.
Mm-hmm.
I am, you know, like there are so many things happening in this moment, even if it's not a burnout, but I'm
Sure.
still having activation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a framework for understanding myself and not getting upset
Mm-hmm.
and just being like, okay, I might not read.
Yes. And like the world it still goes on.
The world
Yeah.
still goes on.
And I'm not going to go to jail.
Nope.
No, and you're not hurting
Yes.
anyone.
Nope. And I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so helpful. That's so helpful. What are ways that what are additional ways that you've lowered demands for yourself? And is that
Yeah.
the language that you like to use, lower demands, or do
Yeah.
you
I mean,
use
it's
accommodate or?
either way. Well, I think accommodate is broader, right? So, like, lowering demands is one way that I accommodate myself.
Okay, yes.
So, yeah. So, lowering demands for myself might look like when I was first experimenting with this, I was like, getting getting into pajamas was this task. You too.
No, I don't know. It's not about me.
Don't worry, I didn't see that. Um,
Ah.
but like it would take me so long to get in pajamas. Like this should be a 5-minute task at most. The
Yep.
pajamas are very clearly different from the clothes,
Right.
right?
And it's a sensory incentive. So
Right.
it's like from a sensory lens,
Comfy.
it's like, why wouldn't you
Let's
just
go.
jump into them?
From buttons to no buttons, like
Right.
let's yeah.
Right.
And I would literally stand in front of the closet
Mhm.
and then I would like go do something else. And I would come back and stand in front of the closet.
Yeah.
So
So do you sleep naked now?
no,
That's not the accommodation because that could be fun accommodation.
if I
Totally.
didn't have 4 children who needed me to like go to
It's
different parts
true.
of the house and then it would be. I used to though, like before kids.
I love that.
But like I just stopped change like I just would go to bed in my day clothes.
Yes. Yes.
And that was like the first demand that I lowered for myself. And it seems really trivial, right? It's like, okay, how is that going to change your nervous system, Kendall? Like you
Right.
just literally just didn't get changed into pajamas. But it did because it's not about how small the task is. It can be a tiny task or a huge task. Either way, loss of autonomy or equality is what is making the difference. And so the expectation to change into the pajamas was what was dysregulating for me. And so lowering the demand of the changing was regulating for me
Mhm.
in like a 1-to-1 ratio.
Love that.
And then, so that's one way. Bringing in safe nervous systems. So
Mhm.
like, um, we don't have this now that we've moved, but for a while we had a housekeeper who is really like a trusted close friend of mine.
Oh, love.
And so she would come, and yes, she was like making beds and lowering demands for myself and my kids also, right? Because
Also accommodation.
also an accommodation, but also her presence during the day
Regulating.
was regulating for me. So like I was co-regulating my kids and she was co-regulating me.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And now
She
we have,
didn't move with you.
unfortunately, I would have brought her with me. She's amazing.
Oh,
Now we just have guinea pigs.
okay.
But I'll do that. I'll feel myself getting, and there's not another adult in the house for me to regulate against. And
Sure.
so I'll just go grab a guinea pig and I'll literally put them on my
Yeah.
chest, like heart to heart, you know? So bringing in safe nervous systems is big for me. Thinking through this 4S system that Casey was talking about, right? So safe nervous system, screens. I have my phone on me all the time.
Yeah.
And I used to feel really bad about that. Like I did not come from a pro screen place. Like it came from a crunchy granola.
Yeah.
I still had a flip phone when my kids were little.
Yes.
We didn't have an iPad until it was COVID and we were buying a house and I needed my children to stay alive while I talked to the mortgage broker. So therefore Sesame Street came in like that. But now I have, an iPhone and it is on me. Like I literally have a chain that I carry it around the house with because that way, no matter whether I have pockets or not, like it's
Yes.
always with me.
Yes.
And I just accept that. Like
Yeah.
this is an accommodation for me. If I'm going to do dishes, I'm going to either be listening to a podcast or I'm going to have an episode of Real Housewives on.
Which location
All
is your place?
all of them.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So safe nervous system, screens. What are the other ones again?
So then sensory intense experiences, dopamine and novelty. So I always have my safety water bottle with, filled with ice water, like fill the entire thing with ice, then with water. So that's like cold sensory
For me, it's
experience.
fizzy. That's so
Hmm.
interesting. I
Interesting.
didn't realize that was part of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it's a
Mhm.
sensory intense experience.
Sensory intense
So
experience,
like
I meant.
spicy food
Yeah.
could be something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love, love, love.
Yeah.
Smart.
And then I've started like recognizing that I have sensory sensitivity to like fabrics.
Sure.
And so like I'll only wear things that feel good on my hands or,
So smart.
And then dopamine and novelty, right? Like I will like one of the things like I will go thrifting. Like when
Oh,
I have
fun.
time for myself,
Yeah.
like I will go because there's always something new.
Yeah.
Like there's this great like vintage warehouse where we moved and it's like like a curated flea market that has all these cool things and it's just like okay, different new things.
Yes.
Novelty, dopamine that I buy something.
Yes.
And instead of feeling like it's a waste, right? Like
That's
I
the
didn't need that.
thing. Yes.
I actually did need it. I did need it from a nervous system
You're
perspective.
looking through the lens of accommodation.
Yes. Yes.
You're looking through the lens of building your window of tolerance.
Yes.
So that you can function in other areas.
Yes. And building that window looks different from traditional advice, right? Like I'm not going for walks.
So good.
I'm not
Right.
taking more naps. I'm
Right.
not like meditating.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
once in a while, but like those aren't the things that like for me bring me that same level of regulation that allow me to function.
Mhm.
And just acceptance of that I don't have to like I can design my own, I mean, hashtag autonomy, right? Like I can design my own
It's so good.
like accommodations.
So good.
Yeah. And then the last one, special interests, so that sometimes for me combines all those things like all of the Real Housewives franchises, but it's also a special interest in human behavior, right?
Sure.
So like I love watching anything that's like, a
An
real
exploration in human behavior.
Exactly.
Well, in
Yeah.
your work.
I was going to
My
say
work
that
is a
too.
special
your
interest.
work.
Yeah.
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 Fascinating.
Yeah.
So this has been amazing. I adore you both. I want you to move to Pennsylvania. Come be my friends.
We'll start making plans.
Please do. You could do another move.
Oh yeah.
It's no
Why
big
not? We just did one. It worked. Well, yeah.
deal. for someone listening who is likely ADHD, um, and just thinking like, oh my gosh, like this sounds like me. Maybe they're resonating, maybe their heart rate is like, maybe their heart's beating really fast, or just
Yeah.
like seeing themselves through what you've explained so clearly through your stories. What should they do? Like, what's their next step, maybe?
Yeah, I think just, giving yourself permission to explore whether or not this feels like a helpful lens to look through, right? Like there's no requirement for this to be what defines you, and there's no
Mm.
requirement um for this not to, right? Like the autonomy is yours, right? you know?
You're very you're very much saying you get to
You
decide.
get to decide.
You do you.
And like
You're
start with a small
autonomous.
experiment, right? Like
Sure.
if you're feeling like this resonates for you, like what is your equivalent of not changing into pajamas at night? What is the smallest thing that you can give yourself permission to drop, or the smallest area where you can give yourself autonomy and choice where you previously have felt that you didn't have any? And like just giving yourself permission to try one thing.
Mhm.
And then if it feels different for you and it feels improved, try two.
Yeah. Try another one.
Try another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And Casey, would you just speak to like would you speak to like the permission for the ADHDers to explore this?
Yeah.
I feel like we need just like a little, like a permission slip. Would you write a permission slip for us ADHDers to explore this, even though the conversation is usually around autism and PDA? Can the listening audience still have a place to like explore?
Absolutely. So, as you might have noticed with the way that we talk about all this stuff, at its very, very core is our principles of autonomy and equality.
Mm.
And so, what that means is like if this is resonating for your lived experience, it's relevant to you. And
So
it
good.
doesn't matter if you're diagnosed or not,
Mhm.
or if certain countries categorize it as such. It's really about, we always say, what helps,
Mhm.
right? And so,
So good.
permission to experiment with this logic, um, permission to make it your own. And, one thing I know from working with and being friends with ADHDers is like they're like a very dynamic and creative bunch and really
Yeah.
fun to be around. And one of the things I love about my ADHD friends is their creativity.
Yeah.
And so, as Kendall said, what is your not changing into pajamas?
Yeah.
And what is your thrifting, right? Like
Mhm.
instead of, you need to get a bubble bath or get a massage, like, are you someone who likes to solder or bake or garden? Like, what do you transform as a way of getting dopamine?
Yeah.
And that can be your therapy.
So good. Permission slip written,
Yeah.
permission granted.
From a non clinician. Okay. Don't come for me. Neurodivergent woman to
Yes.
neurodivergent
Still,
humans.
but still someone who is in the field,
Yes.
working with so many children, teens, parents. I mean, that matters. That really does matter. That's not nothing.
No.
That's not nothing.
No, I just don't want to get accused of misrepresenting
Yes, I
myself.
understand. I understand.
Yeah.
But
Understand.
full permission to the ADHDers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay?
I love that.
Full
Yeah.
permission.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for
Truly.
having
This
This
has
was
been such an honor.
it's been so much fun talking with you.
Cool. Listener, all of the information that you need about At Peace Parents and how Casey and Kendall might be able to help you, if that's something you want, you get to choose, is in the show notes. So go find it and let's do this again really soon.
Would love
Yeah,
to.
I love
let's
it.
do it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.